He did not sound interested. He was a man who expected his wife's unwavering and silent support for his views, not to hear hers. Blair would want the same from his spouse, of that Mr. Campbell was certain. He glanced at the other Blackwell children at the table. An older daughter, Christian, had joined the discussion, though not as vociferously as Elizabeth, and Angus, who could be no more than 8 years old, made a comment Mr. Campbell disregarded. After a brief pause, William said, "Sir, shall we retire to the drawing-room? The fire and a whisky, perhaps?" As everyone stood, Elizabeth put a hand to her forehead. "Father, I do believe Mr. Campbell is right. All this thinking has given me a pounding head. I must excuse myself. Please forgive me." Eyes lowered, she backed from the room before dashing up the stairs. Flinging herself on the bed, she spread-eagled herself across it. Dinner was torture. The mere presence of Blair Campbell made her yawn. Now, what did one take when eloping? Anticipation spread through her like an ink drop hitting water. Picking through stockings made by her father's company brought his dear face to mind. He would be baffled when he discovered what she'd done. The box of paints her mother gave her for her 23rd birthday a few months ago lay on a side table. Elizabeth pressed it to her lips. Isabel would wail when she discovered Elizabeth had run away, but with the single-mindedness of the smitten, Elizabeth pushed away these thoughts. Into her bag she shoved stockings and paints and a thick underskirt. Her parents were to blame. They would never have agreed to her marriage to Alexander Blackwell. They would have forbidden it. If eloping was the only way she could become Mrs. Blackwell, so be it. A comb, gloves, a shawl, she was almost ready. She strapped on her boots. In a few hours she would be heading for Edinburgh with her true love. There they would make their marriage vows. A week or so later, she would return to dear, dull Aberdeen as Mrs. Alexander Blackwell. In 1716, a fire had destroyed the townhouses that stood along Gallowgate Street. William Blackwell had been the first to see the potential of the smoking rubble. 10 years ago, he snapped up a piece of land and built a house for his growing family. For a few years, their house stood lonely on a rutted track. The chaises the Blackwell family took to church each Sunday often stuck in the mud. The boys dirtied their boots shoving the vehicles through. But after a time, other families purchased land on the same road. From her bedroom window, Elizabeth could usually have seen fine mansions and large gardens along a gravelled road. But not tonight, for the moon was hidden behind the clouds. The river could be lapping against their house, and she would be none the wiser. An army of fairies might be peering up from the rosebeds, and she would not see them. From the hall, she could hear the Campbells making their farewells, her parents talking as they prepared for bed, Christian and Angus squabbling. The house fell silent. All the while, she stood nose pressed to the window, clutching her bag so tightly her hands ached. The clock chimed. The notes echoed around the sleeping house. Then, the noise she'd been longing to hear. A carriage drawing to a halt. Years later, when she smelt yeast, she remembered this night of escape. Tiptoeing across the kitchen, past loaves proving on the range, her cloak sweeping the flagstones with a sound like exhaling breath, the squeak of the bolt, the groan of the hinge, her first step to freedom and the crunch of gravel underfoot. Rain stippling her cheek as she glided along the path towards the faint contours of a carriage. Voices in her head chorused, "Stop, turn back, come to your senses." Where was the loyal, dutiful daughter her family deserved? Her parents and the faces of her siblings came thick and fast, like snow in a storm. She stopped. If her courage failed her now, she would end up the wife of Blair Campbell or someone like him. Her life would be conventional, dull. Choosing Alexander for her